Hello, everyone, and welcome to the August forecast for 2025. And I want to thank the Wholeness Network ladies for having me be your friendly astrologer. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And today, we're going to be focusing on the neat elements coming up for us shortly. And let me just switch over here. So just a preview, on August 9th, we have a full moon in Aquarius that will happen early in the morning Eastern time. Then August 11th, we will see Mercury going direct. And then August 23rd, we have a new moon in Virgo. We're just moving on through. I can't believe how fast time is going right now. So let's focus first on this full moon chart. And when we have the full moon, you can see the sun and the moon are opposite at 16 degrees, Leo and Aquarius. And the sun in Leo is about being authentic. It's about being creative. If you look at the sun, the idea is there's this life force that's available, and we all come in as a point of consciousness. We have an individuality. We have our face, we have our fingers, we have our retinas. Each one of us is amazingly cosmically unique. And the energy for Leo is performing on some level. It's receiving recognition or approval for what we're doing and knowing that our individual contribution matters to the world. A lot about heart and inspiration. With the moon being in Aquarius, this is more about our individual feelings, our emotional freedom. How do we contribute to the greater good? So community or grassroots feels associated with Aquarius. When we find our tribe, we can feel like, oh, I've connected with people who get me. So this time can be a really good opportunity to find that balance between the head and the heart, and kind of how we can be an individual, but also recognizing the talents and the abilities of all those around us. What's interesting is we're going to be having these soft aspects where we see Uranus in a trine with Pluto, and we also see Saturn and Neptune in a sextile with Uranus, and then also a sextile with Pluto. So that's going to happen off and on now that Pluto's in Aquarius for good. Uranus is shifting into Gemini. We'll go back into Taurus briefly, but back into Gemini. And both Saturn and Neptune will dip their toes and then finish. And then they're still in retrograde right now, but will then eventually continue on in Aries. So we're going to have this kind of nice energy in the sky where these outer planets have an ease amongst them. And what's interesting in this particular chart is if you look at, let me make this blue here. So we have Uranus in a nice trine to Mars, which is in a nice little trine to Pluto, and coming over to Uranus. So there's this beautiful, when we have three trines that connect planets, or a trine to each planet, so three trines in total, we call that a grand trine. It's a configuration we see in modern astrology. And then at the very top is the sextile of Saturn and Neptune. So we call this a kite formation. And so you can kind of imagine there's a little tail and, getting the key ready for some lightning. So when we see, so Mars is opposite Saturn and Neptune, and Mars is basically describing how we go after what we want. It's our energy, it's our aggression. And Mars doesn't really love being in the sign of Libra. It much prefer to be in Aries. So Aries is its domicile or its home. And so Libra is where we find Mars in detriment, because when the energy of I want, I desire, I'm going after something is put into the energy of, well, what does everybody else want? Let's talk about it. Maybe we can all have something that we want, so we can compromise. Slows Mars down, makes him a little grumpy, perhaps, but that's okay, because then it works on diplomacy, which is a wonderful thing. And with Saturn and Neptune, we have this building energy with Saturn and this dissolving energy with Neptune. So this full moon might be interesting regarding how are you going after what you want, and are you hitting, is there like a brake pedal to your gas, or is there something that's making you kind of confused about things? Because sometimes Neptune can do that as well. So there's there's a lot of extra energy that is assistive in communication because this grand trine is in the element of air. So air relates to how we think, how we speak, communicate, intelligence, decisions, headiness. So again, I feel like there's something about moving from our head to our hearts and finding a way to even just thinking about how we move with people in the world, just again, bringing it out from the inner to the outer, how that might come up for you. And the other thing we see that's really nice is we have, let me get pink. So we see Venus here is coming closer to Jupiter, which is lovely. So, Venus is representative, the universal representation of love. Jupiter is the universal representation of like abundance and faith and optimism. So this is kind of all happening at an interesting time where Venus is coming up closer to Jupiter, and Venus rules Libra. So again, there's this little tie-in from Mars being having all this. This is more a personal planet for us in the sense that Mars is getting this extra energy, and then Libra is the sign that Mars is in. So this is connection to the Venus. So it gives us an opportunity to, I think, really again balance our head and our heart, how we go after what we want, and boosting our creativity, and maybe giving us some courage to do things that might be a little more difficult that we can step into at this time. And they will actually, Venus will actually be connected to Jupiter on August 11th, which is nice. So if you're getting married August 11th, you picked a great day. But you might just have amazing love in general kind of things happen for you. So maybe leave somebody a nice note this day, or write your own self a love letter. Maybe prepay a coffee for somebody and have them write on the cup, "You are worthy," or "You are loved," or something like that. I don't know. See how that works for you. Let's see. And Venus is going to go into Leo, the sign of Leo, on August 25th. So that'll be nice because the representation of love shifting to Leo, which is very heart-centered, I think is also very nice. We also are coming towards the end of Mercury retrograde. So this is also interesting. The full moon's happening around then. And let's see here. So let's clear these drawings. And let's go to that next slide. So Mercury is going direct August 11th. Remember, he went retrograde July 18th at 15 degrees Leo. And so when planets go backwards, we review, we reflect, we take extra time. And Leo is about that creativity, that talent, our heart. And so maybe now that we're nearing the end of the retrograde, just even looking back and saying, okay, what has been coming up for me about living from my heart or my creativity? And if you haven't really stepped out in a way that felt like you were shining your own individual light, maybe finding a way to do that while Mercury starts to move forward and get some steam built back up. So Mercury will be moving direct August 11th, which always gets the collective sigh of relief from everybody. And then we have to talk about the sun going into the sign of Virgo. Virgo was typically illustrated as, a virgin young woman, and she's holding wheat or scales. They used to draw her with wings. And the idea is, the wheat is coming in, and there's a discernment between, okay, this wheat has a bunch of bugs on it, looks nasty, like this is not going to feed our horses, to this is amazing wheat and getting the seeds out and things like that. So there's Virgo energy has this discernment ability. And so if your sun is in the sign of Virgo, or a really important planet for you, there's this idea of being able to separate the wheat from the chaff. And that level of discernment is amazing because you're going to know if something's off, like, exactly how to load the dishwasher. You might even help your friends know how to load their dishwashers. And so on the low road, it can be petty or picky or kind of OCD-ish, but on the high road, knowing how to step in and edit something and point people in the right direction is because there's just such a desire to be of service. Anytime the Virgo idea that energy is being critical is only to make something better. So allowing these really analytical minds, these very practical folks with a logic to help us all kind of fall into alignment is amazing. So give your friendly Virgo a hug, because sometimes they just aren't quite as appreciated as I think they should be. And so when we can celebrate that ability for them to discern and be analytical, it's a wonderful thing. And so these are some old drawings. This is like from a book, like a 15th century book or something like that. And so I thought these were neat pictures. So I really like that. So, okay, next up is the new moon in Virgo. And this is just the next day because you'll see the sun is still at 0 degrees. So the new moon is happening at 0 degrees. Let me get my jar here. So the 0 degrees, Virgo, 22 minutes. And so the new moon is when that sun and the moon come together. So there's no reflection and there's a dark sky. And when new moons happen, it's a great time to manifest. So you're planting seeds, you're thinking about, okay, what do I want to take place over the next moon cycle? Because we know the moon cycle is about 27 and a half days. But some people talk about moon cycles even being, like 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, year and a half. Like there's all these different ranges people can look at it. But with the moon and the sun being in the sign of Virgo, this is a really good time to make a list of projects you want to do, ideas for improving your life. I think of Marie Kondo, where she's like, is this bringing me joy? So, going down into your basement and just filling up one bag that can either go to Goodwill, or if it needs to go to, potentially garbage or whatever you're cleaning through, and working on that in a step-by-step fashion. So one of the things that can be good with this energy is progress and not necessarily perfection, because perfection can feel like this ultimate ideal that we all have. And it's like, how do I reach that? It's overwhelming. You don't do anything. So the perfection paralysis of Virgo is very real. So bite-sized bits are probably the best way to go. And I was even thinking, this could be, if you don't floss your teeth, maybe this new moon's a great time just to try it for a month. Try flossing your teeth, every other day or something like that. Just putting a reminder in your calendar just to kind of help you do that. We still have this outer planet configuration of these harmonious aspects, which just are kind of like, for right now, my teacher, Michael Bryan, says that the soft aspects don't speak as loudly as the harder aspects, like a square and opposition. So we'll see how this translates for the collective. But just knowing that there's some support that's kind of there in the back. And with air and fire elements, it's motivating. There's something to reach into and move with. There's a little square between Mars and Jupiter, which isn't a big deal, but it's out there. So there might be a little, and sometimes Mars and Jupiter together can have this feeling of success. You've got the desire, you've got the opportunity, let's make it happen kind of a thing. So that's nice. So, but I feel like the most important thing about this new moon is looking at your life and seeing if there's little things you can edit, shift, tweak in some way that makes you feel more empowered, that you're more in control of your health, maybe, or something that helps you feel like you're mastering something. Might be a great time for you to think about a class you want to take. Virgo goes with cooking, I feel like, too. Sometimes it's like, I have all my ingredients laid out. I know exactly what's going in there, and I'm going to make the best. Oh yeah, bread. So yeah, bread is like fabulous for this Virgo new moon. So think about the things that you want to work on, and there's a lot of energy and support for you right now with this new moon coming up for sure. And then I have as my last slide a little thank you and have a fantastic August. This is a church in France that has this beautiful stained glass. And so I encourage you to do the things that you are interested in. And while we are in the first part of August, to really live with your heart and feel that power that each and every one of us have as creative individuals. So I bid you a happy farewell, and I hope you have an amazing month ahead and all the best to you. So I'll see you later. Bye.